Hello everybody, my name is Walter, and this is episode 48 of my Redstone Commands Series. In this episode, I'm going to cover the tick command. Now, this command is distantly related to the time command insofar that it can also have an effect on the advance of the daytime, but it's much more powerful. In a sense, it allows you to control how many game ticks per real-life second the game runs at. The default value would be here 20 game ticks per second. You can go higher, you can lower, or you can even freeze the game completely without freezing the player character if you want to have a close look at redstone contraptions, and then you can step, for example, game tick by game tick to closely observe what is going on, which is immensely helpful when you are debugging redstone contraptions. And now let's have a quick look at the different options you have with this command. The first is checking the current ticking status. So with tick query, you can get the information you can see here. So you get told whether the game is currently running. You get the current ticking rate, so the 20 game ticks per second is the default value. You get also the information how long the processing for a single game tick takes on average. And as long as this number here is below the target, which is a direct consequence of the ticking rate, then you're golden. If you take longer to process a single tick, then the game will start to stutter and lag. And to get a bit of a better feeling about how the game is performing, you get also the percentiles. So from 100 samples, 50 of those ticks took at most 4.9 milliseconds, 95 at most 5.4, and only the last sample, or the longest sample, was above the 6.2 milliseconds. So that's how you can read this. Next, let's have a look at changing the ticking rate. With tick, rate followed by a number, you can change the number of game ticks per real-life second. The number can be anything between 1 and 10,000, and it can be a floating point number. So you can also use 1.5, for example. Default value is 20, as already said. And now to show you the effect, let's activate the redstone contraption here. So just a simple bouncing item here. And now let's set the ticking rate to 2, which is a tenth of the normal speed. And you can see it's really, really slow. The same is true for animations like the fire over there. Mobs would move much, much slower. And also the player too. As you can see, I'm moving very, very slow, although I can rotate around without having to wait for that. So, yeah, it's an interesting feeling. You can also go in the opposite direction. You can, for example, go to 10 times the speed. And now you can't even see this moving around. Really, mobs would move much faster, but you can see the player character is still moving at normal speed. So this might be actually an option for a very hardcore game where you, for example, make the game, let's say 1.5 times as fast. And that way you increase majorly the difficulty of the game. Just a little idea. Okay, let's get this in there again. So, yeah. And now let's have a look at the freezing option. So with tick freeze, you can completely stop the game. Again, the player character is not affected by this, so you can still move around. This is an option that is very useful if you want to analyze redstone contraptions, because with the option to step and sprint, you can do this tick by tick. But first, let's go to the unfreeze. So unfreeze does the opposite than the freeze. You are back to the normal ticking rate. But let's refreeze this. And let's have a look at stepping. So with tick and then step, you will step a single game tick at a time. As you can see, you can step through this quite decently. But you can also give it a time. You can give this in ticks by either just writing a number and then nothing, or a number followed by a T. You can give it in seconds, or you can give it in Minecraft days. In this instance here, I'm going with 100 ticks, and you can see this is basically the equivalent of 5 seconds, and now we are back to frozen. At any time while it's running, you can stop it with tick, step, and stop, and refreeze it. if you notice that you, for example, use the wrong unit. And the final option is to sprint. And this is very similar to stepping, with the main difference being that it does this as fast as possible. So not real time speed or the normal rates, but as fast as possible. In this example here, I'm going for 1 minute or 60 seconds. So this can be extremely useful if you want to test a farming setup or something like that. Again, while it's running, you can stop and freeze it at any moment with the tick, sprint, stop. And then at some point you can unfreeze again. And with that, we've reached the end of this episode about the tick command. I hope you enjoyed it, and well, see you.